There's a question some people have in PPC. How do you find the ad placement for your product? And there's at least two different answers to that question because it depends what kind of ad you're running. Are we talking about sponsored products? Are we talking about sponsored brands? And to a degree also, are we talking about sponsored display? My name is David Goldenberg and I'm a 20-year digital vet. I led the marketing for a brand that grew from 30 million a year to 57 million a year and started a PPC agency. Now, for sponsored products, the report you're looking for is called the placement report, unsurprisingly. But the question is, what do you do with that report? Once you download it, how do you interpret the data? And the problem is that it's not such a straightforward thing because the placement for your product might be split across many different campaigns. Some campaigns you may be getting what's known as top of search. Some campaigns you may be getting what's known as rest of search. And in some campaigns you may be also getting product placement. And you may be getting those placements mixed across different campaigns. The practical impact is that it's going to affect how you need to set your bids. So what you want to do is start by taking that file and sorting it by either spend high to low or sales high to low, depending if you want to start by cutting the things that are not working or by trying to increase those things that are working. So if you want to start by cutting those that are not working, what you need to do is then look at the ACoS column for those placements that you're interested in affecting and filter it for, let's say, 10% above your target. So if your target is, for example, 25%, you need to filter for 35% and above. Once you do that and you're sorted by spend high to low, you'll see very quickly which placements are not performing for your product. And then you need to consider how you can reduce that. So if you have a placement adjustment already for those placements, then obviously you can reduce the bid adjustment. But what if you have 0% adjustment? How to decrease the bid on just those placements that aren't working without ruining your sales from the placements which are working. So what you want to consider doing is you need to lower the bid on the keyword or the ASIN that you're targeting, and then you increase the bid adjustment for the other placements which are performing well. And what that does is basically now that your lower bid is going to apply to the placement that is not performing for you, and you can balance it out by keeping on getting the placements which are working, for example, rest of search, top of search, whichever it is, by having an increase for those placements specifically. But so far we've only talked about one part of the answer. There's still sponsored brands and sponsored display. Now with sponsored brands, the data is a little bit richer. You have a keyword placement report and you also have a campaign placement report. So the keyword placement report says that this particular keyword showed up this many times on top of search or rest of search or product pages, sometimes even the Amazon homepage, how many clicks you got, how many sales, and the rest of it. But the adjustment in sponsored brands is a little bit different. So you can do the same thing as with sponsored products, either sort by spend high to low or sales high to low, and then filter for, a bad ACoS like we talked about previously, or you can filter for a good ACoS. So again, if your target is, let's say, 25%, you can filter for things, let's say, under 20%, under 15%, to find targets to double down on. But the system's a little bit different with sponsored brands because you don't bid directly just on the one placement or the other. You can either decrease for other placements, or you can increase for other placements. With some accounts, they're just now rolling out an ability to make changes specifically for top of search or rest of search. It's not clear if that's rolled out to everyone. In that case, you can do it like it's working for sponsored products, like I just explained before. But otherwise, you need to adjust, unfortunately, at the campaign level, not the keyword level. And what that means is you're going to want to think about A, having some of your best keywords just on their own so that they can get their own bid adjustments. And B, you're going to want to think about how am I performing at the campaign level on these different placements with sponsored brands. And in order to make that analysis, there's a separate report. Beside for keyword placement, there's also campaign placement. So you can check that out. And again, it's the same sort of analysis. And once you have that data, you can say, okay, you know what, this keyword, for example, is getting me sales at a good ACoS. Let's increase the bid on this placement by adjusting things. So if you want to find out that information now for sponsored display, how do you do it? You're kind of stuck, unfortunately, because currently there's no sponsored display placement there's no sponsored display placement adjustment, nor is there a sponsored display placement report. But what you can do is you can just browse around yourself and or have VAs use virtual private networks to browse like they're in the USA and take screenshots and tell you, oh, you know, we saw your ad here, we saw your ad there. And that can give you some of that information. Now, the last thing that you're going to want to do with all of this is increase your profitability at least 20% in the next 6 weeks. And if you want to do that, I have a simple solution. Click the link in the description below and apply, because that is what we offer to do. Increase your profitability at least 20% in the next 6 weeks, free. Apply below and see if we're a fit.